He's faithful to his promises. I'm here because God called me, not because it was my desire in the beginning, not because I grew up wanting to be a professed brother or a priest or anything growing up. I think I have witnesses here that knew me before I was a Verbum Dei brother, and they know what I was like before. I wasn't exactly going around trying to organise rosaries and doing anything. It's probably you would find me playing sport, at the pub, the normal things. And I think what happened was that God called me, but like I was reflecting a bit on the gospel of today, God called me and asked me to respond to him. So today you can hear Zacchaeus, who was a man that was not so close to God in the eyes of the people. He was a man who was more focused on other things, focused on being rich and even cheating other people out of it. He was a tax collector back in those days. That's what they used to do. And me myself, I understand myself that same way. Maybe not. I wasn't so interested in being rich when I was younger. Father Ishmael gave a few examples. It was rich. You can be chasing pleasure. You can be chasing power. I think I was chasing pleasure more than anything else, and I was chasing freedom. But an idea of freedom that I didn't want anyone to tell me what to do. So those people who know me from those times, I used to have long hair, I used to be a little bit crazy at different times. And my whole idea was a bit more to do whatever makes you happy. And which can be good as long as you're not hurting others, and as long as you're making other people happy, which I wasn't so worried about actually. I was more worried about myself. And it's interesting because it says that Zacchaeus took a step. Zacchaeus did something a little bit crazy. He climbed a tree to try, because he heard Jesus was coming. And I think that's what happened with me as well too. I was, like I said, I was not interested in faith at all. And I was running away from it for a long way. We grew up in almost my family here now, in a very Catholic family. We all went to Mass and everything. And my mother used to invite me to go to these events that the MGL sisters used to run, which some of the MGL sisters are here now. And every single year she'd ask me to go to what they call the Summer School of Evangelization. And every year I'd find a good, convenient excuse to say no. And every year my mother would keep on doing it. And eventually, after 4 years, I said yes to shut her up, and so she wouldn't keep doing it. But it was my moment of climbing a tree. I realised that in my life I wasn't particularly satisfied completely. I was looking for other things all the time. And when I went there, it was a big step for me. It took a lot of effort, because in my mind, Christians were all boring, and they sat in church the whole time, and they were all old, and because every time I went to church, everyone was over 60 or 70, so I didn't want to really be there, so it was a big step. But when I went there, I understood there was something different, and I was with young people that were cool, I was with people as well that understood me, and I met Jesus, properly in the first time in that moment, and it changed my life. I went to confession for the first time in 5 years in that moment. That's a whole other story, I want to keep it short. And at the end of that, I experienced a joy that was so great that I wanted to change my whole life. And I did, in step by step with little things, but the same way that Zacchaeus wanted to change and give back his life in different ways, I wanted to do the same. And then in that moment, around that time, my cousin Frances, who's here today, she's a Verbum Dei missionary, she had her first vows and invited us to the first vow, I think. And she invited all of us to come, and I came, and I met the Verbum Dei group community in that moment, and it really helped me a lot because that was where I learned how to pray. And my relationship with God changed again, because I understood that God's not someone that you only have to speak to and ask him to tell you things and ask him for things for your life, which was all I used to do when I used to pray. But he can speak to you, and he does, through the Word of God, through the people around you. And it changed my whole understanding of what God meant. and what God is and who God is, and He is love. And going step by step, going more deeper into my faith with the Verba Day group, I eventually climbed another tree when I went to the World Youth Day in 2005. They'd been organising that trip for about a year, and this is my way of doing things. I understood about a month before they were going that, okay, I think I'll go as well. So luckily they let me go, and I went there with them over to Germany for the World Youth Day. And it was there that I saw the church in action as well too. I saw what God can really do with a lot of people, and because there I saw all of the youth all around the world on fire, living their life with love and faith. And in that moment, we had the Mass with the Pope, and the Pope gave a good homily, and we all were listening. And I remember very clearly that there was a time after that homily, everyone started cheering, and then the Pope, it was Pope Benedict at the time, put Jesus up on the altar in the Blessed Sacrament and knelt down in front of him. And everyone, there was 2 million people there in that moment, instead of jumping and cheering, which we were doing, we all knelt down at the same moment and recognised what we were looking for in our life, which is Him, which is Jesus, who was able to unite us all together. And I had a strong moment of talking to Jesus in that moment. I don't hear voices in my head from God or anything, but I understood in my heart. I was asking Him, how do you do this, God? How do you bring everyone here together? And He said, this is what I do. This is who I am. I am the love everyone's looking for. I'm the source of joy everyone's looking for. And then my next question was, why doesn't everyone have it? If I've got it, the one who was always far away from God, how come I found it and other people didn't? And then I understood very clearly in that moment. He said, I need you. I want your life. If you can help me, help others find me. And it was very powerful, but I understood that I was being called. At the time, I was kneeling next to a girl, and I was more interested in that girl than anything else. So I was asking God, well, can't I have both at the same time? Because that's what everyone else does. And with time, I understood, no, this calling is for something different, just to give my whole life in completeness. And it took time, but eventually I became aware of what I was being called, and I became a missionary. And lots of beautiful things happen when you really give your life to God. When I entered, I had no idea, but when I decided to enter, one of my brothers decided to enter as well at the same time. So we went together, Dan and I, to the Philippines to become missionaries together. And he's been a very good help in my life, and I give a lot of thanks for his life and his journey with me. And everyone else that you meet, you understand that this life, when you give your whole life to God, you're not giving up anything. You're getting so much more. And that's the truth of the vows. It doesn't sound like it when you say, I commit myself to poverty, chastity, and obedience. It sounds the opposite. And that was my whole understanding as well too. Who wants to be poor? Who wants to be alone? Who wants to be a slave or someone who says yes to everything? Like I said, I used to try and chase freedom more than anything else. But you understand that when you give it all to Him, when you give it all to God, you find what it really means. And you find that actually when you're poor, when you don't have these things holding you back, you can give everything you've got. When you don't just love one person, you've got a heart that's big enough to love the whole world. And when you say yes to Him, rather than just only yes to yourself, you learn that actually His plan is bigger than yours. And we experience it so many times in all the different ways in our lives when we find the world works in different ways than we understand. But when we say yes to Him, it works out. In the end, He knows what's best for us. So in the end, that's why I'm here. He called me. He's faithful. He wants me. He wants every one of you as well too, in your own way. Every single time, He'll always ask for your yes. And if you say yes, you learn to love in a different way, and you learn to change the world. And I've seen so many things around the world in the last 10 years that have really changed changed the way I see God, the way I see people. There's no lost cases. There's no one lost that can't be saved. As we say in the Gospel acclamation said today, Jesus came for the lost as well. So at the end of today, when we leave, everyone will receive a little souvenir. Hopefully you'll pray for me when you see this, when you have this souvenir with you. But also remember that to pray with it. At the back we have that quote that Father Ishmael said about St. Charles Borromeo. Preach with your life. This is the deepest part of my calling, is that I become a sign with this consecration. Anyone who looks at me can see that I'm living not for God, not for the world anymore, but for God, which is what all of us as baptized Christians do as well too. So when we have this, please pray for it. Please pray for more people as well too to commit their lives to God in their own way. Especially, we need more consecrated men and women. We do. We need more priests. We need more of everyone who's really willing to give their whole life. Or married couples that are willing to give their whole life to God. And so please pray for that. And just to finally finish with the deep calls to deep. It was a theme that we get to choose our own theme for our vows. And it's what I understand. The deepest thing of your heart is what calls, and what you're looking for is the deepest desire of your heart, which is God. God is the deepest desire, but He calls to the deepest part of you as well too. And whenever you answer, it's deep calls to deep. You find what you're really looking for, and you find what everyone else is looking for as well too. And you can change other people's lives with that love. So I just want to say thank you as well too for all the people who helped make this day possible as well. We'll be celebrating over there. We'll have a bit more time as well. We'll have a chance to eat and everything, and then there'll be a moment where if those who want to go can go. Those who are interested to hear a bit more, we'll have some more testimonies, a little bit of time to share a little bit about what is a missionary life, because maybe a lot of people don't know, and then also to celebrate all together. And thank you so much for the music. Thank you so much for all the people who organised this whole day. We really, really appreciate it.
Sweet.